last year, I received a diagnosis of ASD. It was 3 days before my 60th birthday. Is there something we can do with this? Okay, it was just 3 days before my 60th birthday, and it was the best birthday present I've ever received. Is this actually working? Are people hear me everywhere? Yeah.
Should we change the mic just in case?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Right, try again. When I went to the GP to ask to be referred for Asperger's assessment, I was asked, why do you want an assessment now? What's the point at your age? My answer was simply to know who I am and understand the problems I've had. It's currently a work in progress. Since I haven't had the diagnosis, I've been trying to separate myself from my robot. They become so entwined, it's become almost impossible. You may very well be politely asking, wondering what robot? Well, basically you're looking at it. I probably met a lot of you when you were coming in on reception, and a lot of you perhaps wouldn't know I was autistic by looking at me. My robot's been my protector throughout my life, helping me as an undiagnosed autistic to live and cope with a neurotypical world. Its creation, repair and maintenance are what I'm going to talk about. As all God's stories start, once upon a time there was a little girl who, at the age of 6, spent 6 weeks in hospital. Sitting in bed all day, I started watching and realising I was different from the other children, and that I didn't understand how people work, and I started to study people. After 3 months bed rest, returned to school where everyone was still doing what they did before, but the awareness had changed. And the girl realised though she did try very hard, she couldn't fit in. At this stage, she started having headaches and nausea, missing school, and as she was still under consultant, the puzzle began. What's wrong with her? There's something wrong, but we don't know what it is. So she hid inside herself a little bit, and when she became unwell, she would hide in her room with her books, her constant companions. Religion was a large part of her life. Every Sunday she would march to church in her Sunday best clothes, where she heard a man tell everybody love their neighbour, and they'd gone outside to her mother and friends who kind of said, isn't so-and-so having a baby? Isn't that lovely? Yes, but so is so-and-so. Isn't that awful? Doesn't make sense. What's going on? Love everybody, especially having a baby. But if she is having a baby, give me a break. Stop talking in riddles. The little girl loved playing out of doors with her brother, where she would get into all sorts of trouble because she had no fear. Her uncle used to watch her play and told her mother, there's nothing too hot or too heavy for that girl. Excuse me. This is childhood. It's Sunday, church today. Brownies, piano lessons. Can I go out and play? There's a party today. We need to go somewhere visit somebody. We're going to pictures today. Back to school. All of this stuff, all social stuff, is what was expected as a child. I had to go to these things. They just made me ill. There we go. I need to go to my room, my hiding place. Schoolwork was easy. 11 plus mock exam. I went in the yard afterwards and said, that was fun, wasn't it? Everybody said, no, it was scary. Again, is the difference. I just didn't fit there. The nightmare truly began when I passed the 11 plus with flying colours and went to the girls' grammar school. Everyone said, congratulations, the first person in the family to go to grammar school. No pressure there then. Suited and booted in shiny new uniform with hat, unfortunately, and went along not knowing what to expect. 2 other girls from my old school had passed the exam, but were in the bottom set. I was in the top set, didn't know anybody. The work I thoroughly enjoyed at first, but break times more difficult. Tried to seek out the 2 girls I'd known, but they'd made new friends in their own class, on my own. The slide shows an example of how it felt at school. Assembly, going, here I go, bouncing in, starts filling up. Just gets crowded, the noise, the proximity of people, smells, movement, everything just absolutely, and I just flaked out of it. Many times ended up going out because I was nearly passing out. Okay, it was a school full of girls. I had no idea how they worked, sorry, ladies. I've also known boys, and my brain was practical, logical, and problem solving. Again, the work was no problem. Negotiating all the new social requirements was impossible. I just couldn't work things out, and the periods of being well and well became more and more frequent. The embryonic robot was tattered and torn and couldn't cope with keeping safe. Needed more and more time to repair it and maintain it, but the damage was so great, however hard she tried, but the girl couldn't keep up with the work and it was nearly destroyed. During this time, in the background of the story, it's the GPs, consultants, specialists, I'm not sure in what, on a regular basis. It went on and on with the same result. There's something wrong with her, but we don't know what it is. Every time the little girl sat there wondering, what's the matter with me? Why aren't I like everybody else? As she's discussed by other people, thinking, that's not right, I don't feel that way, so I must be wrong. Why don't they ask me? Nobody ever seemed to ask me. Only once was she actually asked by a doctor how she felt, but by then the robot knew that she had to be kept safe and she didn't know what to answer to give that would be right, so she stayed silent. Up to this point, the story has been told partially in the third person because that's how it felt. Looking back, I see the child objectively as if I was looking at her rather than out of her. I was never involved in what happened to her. The discussion was always about she or her, never I. The only time I could be me was with my brother or my room. And by this time, the room would become more and more an emergency repair room rather than a place of solace. Now, however, I can take on the first person because from here on, I own myself for the first time. Parents, please take a gentle hit. Even if your child doesn't have a voice of their own, they still need to be listened to. This was a lesson I took into motherhood and tried my best to listen to what my children were saying and what they weren't. I reached the age of 15 and as my mother couldn't cope with me anymore and the doctors had failed to find an answer, I was shipped off to Whitchurch Hospital, a mental hospital, if people don't know that, into a fairly new young people's unit where I spent several months as an inpatient. At least now they were looking in the right direction with my head. But this was 1973. Asperger's wasn't a known thing. It wasn't even a possibility. And certainly autism, as I presented, was not an option. I know one time they thought my problems might be related to the time spent in hospital or puberty. Really? From the age of 6? Okay. What a precocious child I must have been. I didn't know because I wasn't told, but I assume they think I was cured because I had no episodes while I was there. Why was that? Well, I was in a closed environment with little access to the outside world, no pressure to do anything I didn't want to. I could interact with others or not as I chose, except group meetings, which were uncomfortable and manageable because I knew who was going to be there and what was expected. My autistic heaven. It doesn't work for everybody, it did for me. It gave me space to evaluate how I fitted or didn't into this small world, and it became a template for my future life. My robot became fully formed and operational, but still with a lot to learn. Life in the real world started. I went to work in the co-op, filling shelves. One of the girls took me under wing and included me socially. I started going out. I used alcohol to ease conversation, interaction with people. I started travelling on my own because nobody else wanted to go where I wanted to, and I went anyway. Strangers are easier to talk to for me because they accept my robot without question. The following year, I went to Malta for 2 weeks, age 18, on my own. Freaked my mother out, but I went anyway, and I had a wonderful time. Glastonbury, I spent 4 years in the co-op, then off to a bigger world. Doing a survey on the bus there, which lasted a year. Got married and had 2 children. Whistle-stop tour through my life here, people. I got married, had 2 children. This was a time when I didn't have a safe space. I had to be 24 hours a day in my robot. So I found a safe time instead. 5 a.m. in the morning, I went out with my dog for a walk and then prepared whatever we were doing for tea that day. So I wouldn't have to do it when there's so many other things going on when the children came home from school. My daughters were my world and I learned so much from them, and we spent as much time as possible outside, whatever the weather. I think I had a second and better childhood of them as the focus was off me and it was all about them. Again, I went through different jobs. When I was older, nearly 40, I passed my driving test. I started doing a degree course because I didn't have qualifications. I was in a job I didn't like and I wanted to get out. I finished there, they gave me early retirement age 50. I went on to go a postgraduate diploma in counselling because I've spent my life watching people, so counselling is almost second nature to me. There was one bad time when the robot fell apart and had to be totally rebuilt. There were times when I thought I wouldn't make it back out this time. I was stuck in the house for 3 months, I couldn't get outside the door. It still happens on occasions when I can't get out, but now if I have a bad day, I can accept it. It's okay, this is a crap day, tomorrow's going to be better. That's come with experience. Okay. Sorry, I didn't know till yesterday I was doing this speech. Okay, I met my partner and we got on really well. We'll find out why shortly. I was expecting I did the PG diploma. Found out 5 years after I met him that Alan has Asperger's syndrome, so we were very well suited to each other. I got the diagnosis last year, as I said. I think the lady that diagnosed me, actually here today, I might have seen her briefly. But at last the words that have haunted me had changed. Once I got that diagnosis, I know now there's not something wrong with me, there is something different about me. And that has made such a big difference to my life. I'm now able to look back on it and reevaluate everything that's happened and see why I had all the problems I had. So that didn't answer the question, doctor, is why I wanted a diagnosis at the beginning. So conclusion, from childhood I watched, learned and programmed the robot with scripted responses, smiles, gestured, and basically the robot performs as I should. While I hid safely inside the driver's seat with my secrets packed tightly inside around me. When it got so crammed I was about to burst, I took it home and loaded it, analysed it, sorted what it contained, filed what I could, and reprogrammed it ready for action again. There's my robot broken. And these are the kind of questions it's always about she. Who's she? What's she been doing? This is what the doctors did: ECGs, EEGs, barrier meals, X-rays, medication. We'll try, okay, we'll give up. There's something wrong with her, but we don't know what it is. Stories followed me all my life. Okay, and that means this may give some hope or assurance to parents that when I was a child, the constant buzz in my head of unknown information coming in and the frantic attempts to process it all with no comparison was mind-blowing. But as I've grown older, my frame of reference has grown, and the robot has been in place to deal with the mundane scripted meeting and greeting and interacting, and it freed my mind, the driver, to process new information against that frame of reference. And at my age, new information gets less. Although even last week I had a totally new expected factor process I wasn't sure what to do with. Take it away, unpack it, assess it. Having the diagnosis has allowed all the files have been hastily unpacked and roughly filed to be put away in a more orderly way. If I'd been diagnosed as a child, maybe I wouldn't have had the isolation that living in a robot has brought, but it's part of me now and I wouldn't or couldn't be without it. Okay, thank you everybody for listening to me.